Good evening, good people. It is your girl, Kai Smith, also known as your hair loss advocate, the founder of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases, where we certify beauty pros to become functional trichologists. We are here once again for BTC Live, and as one of my tribe members said, it's Transformation Tuesday, y'all. We are bringing to you topics that are relevant, not just for the beautypreneur, but for anyone living this thing called life. So we ask that you join us in this conversation tonight, that you share this out with your tribe because sharing is caring, and especially if you are a beautypreneur, we want you to share this out. Tonight's topic: authenticity, beautypreneurship, and the brand. Authenticity, beautypreneurship, and the brand. What are we going to be talking about tonight? Yeah, we're going to be talking about, are you telling your story, or are you just telling your business? Ooh, y'all, it's loaded. Are you telling your story, or are you actually just telling your business? What is your strategy when branding and marketing? We want to talk about it. We want to go deep. I have a special guest with me tonight. Man, when I tell you that my IDBTC tribe is in love with this woman, simply because she's phenomenal. Simply because she's filled with grace. Simply because she's just my girl. My girl, Dr. Joy K. Madison, if you know, you know. If you've ever experienced her, you know she comes with the fire. But when she brings you that fire, she almost make it feel like ice, y'all, when she brings you this fire, because you don't even really know that it's hot. You know, she's inviting you into this space, but what she's going to tell you will blow your mind. It will blow your mind if you just give her the opportunity to converse with you, which you're getting ready to do in just a moment. I want to share this video with you really quick so that you can just kind of get an idea if you don't know who Dr. Joy K. Madison is. So let's take it away.
Just because. Danger, 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 threat, 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 threat. Things are happening constantly. And so all of you who are like, yeah, and I wear all these hats and I'm here to serve and the people and I gotta do this. This is this constant feeling of something's happening. Gotta act fast, gotta move now. Gotta save the day. It's you, your choices, your behaviors, the way you live your life. You are inherently the problem with yourself and not the world that we live in. And so what that allows them to do is displace their responsibility for the role that they play, the stress that we carry every single day. That we are tuned into what our bodies are telling us in such a way that we can tap into what the body needs, not what the world around us needs. And I am going to invite you to consider that you're here because of who's in here. Who you are in any situation is who you are in every situation. And when you start getting into what's going on with them on the literal inside, that's real business. That's why I said in the world, not of it. I have the information. I apply it how I want to whom I want to.
Man, y'all just kind of got sound bites from that. Just sound bites. Like, these conversations run on for hours. Literally, they run on for hours. And people were all in. They were engrossed. Dr. Joy K. Madison came and did her thing in the space of ID. She transformed the minds of the beautypreneurs that trusted that space. Dr. Joy K. Madison, she is a doctorate in psychology. She is doing her thing out here on many platforms. I really love spending time with her because she's a realist. She thinks about everything before she says it. She internalizes everything before she says it. She's centered. She understands who she is first and foremost before she even comes into insert herself in a conversation with you. She understands who she is, which is why she brings so much clarity for so many other people. And I can go on forever and ever when I talk about her because we have a plethora of conversations. I can pull several out at just like at one time, as I reflect on the many conversations that we've had, and they're all relevant. And tonight we really want to go deep. So I'm asking you to share this live out, not because we want everybody to just see us. We're not here performing. We are here really trying to connect to your heart, soul, and spirit, so that as you continue to track and build as a beautypreneur, and you're building your brand and you're building a personal brand, that you really understand who you are marketing to, what you are selling, that you are not selling out. That one thing that you're not selling out, not to anything or anyone else, but you're not selling out to yourself in order to get the attention, in order to get the likes, in order to get the nods, in order to get the person to come into the salon chair to get the service. We want to make sure that you are aligned with you, that you understand who you are before you make a move to have an exchange with anything or anyone outside of you. And I think we have gotten so far away from understanding who we are because we are looking at everybody else and trying to get an understanding of them. But when you really have an understanding of you, that's the only clarity you need. Everything else becomes crystal clear because all that matters is you, right? And I say so many times to on this platform, private conversations, coaching conversations, I say the only way that we should be living is based on our core values. Do you have core values? Do you even understand how to pick your core values? What definitions are you using to align with the words that you've chosen? And what do those definitions mean to you as a person? Did you get Webster's definition and you're completely disconnected from it? So as soon as you stop with your with the assignment of creating the core values, you're completely lost when it comes to reflecting on what you've just chosen for yourself because you weren't really connected with the definition. And I say that because when we choose core values, I always say choose 5, right? That are meaningful, that resonate, that you can come back to, that will bring you back to center for you to do the checks and balances, for you to say, I ain't gonna be able to do that. No, that's not going to work for me. And it's not a feels like in the moment because we all get caught up in the moment and we do things, we create products, we create services, we want all the people to come to our chairs because we want to make the money. But what are you really representing? And if you had personal core values before you created business core values, then they would align. But some of us are out here creating business core values and we don't understand who we are as a person. So, how do you separate your personal brand from the person? How do you build your personal brand without sharing too much of the person? Because certain things are not meant to be connected to the brand. And when we start talking about personal branding, we need to understand the parts that should be shared, which is why I said, are you telling your story or are you just telling your business? So let's talk about authenticity, beautypreneurship, and the brand. I'm getting ready to bring on my girl, Miss Joy K. Madison. But let's not forget the doctor. Hey, Joy.
Hey, Kai. How
How
are
are
you? Man, I'm so many things. Watching that compilation just took me right back to being there with y'all, being in that room, and some of the incredibly just heartfelt, and you said it, transformative conversations that happened, the relationships that were built, the breakthroughs that are still unfolding in the months that have followed since then. I'm still reflecting on things that were said, and moments that we experienced that are finding new meaning as I continue to live, right? So
right?
watching that and then listening to you, I'm like, I can't wait to get in on this conversation. So I'm feeling really good and so incredibly grateful to be here with you always, always, always.
Thank you. Girl, we got a lot to unpack tonight.
We
But
do.
um when I say authenticity,
Mhm.
beautypreneurship, and the brand, it's not
Yeah.
isolated just to this industry because
No, of
this can
course
go
not.
across all boards, right? But
Mhm.
tonight I want to talk to my people. I want to talk
Mhm.
to my community, which is the beauty community. And as a thought leader in this space, I feel like I owe it to them to have this
Mhm.
conversation in a public forum, because
Mm.
these are that we have conversations about behind the scenes, but who's really coming forth and having these candid conversations, these come as you called it at ID, coming back to home, coming back
Yeah.
to self. Who's really having these conversations? Because we hear so many different people talking about branding and marketing and telling your story and, all of the things. And
Yeah.
I'm a proponent of, if you're going to tell your story, we don't just have one story. We have many stories that make up
Of
who we are, right? And there's
course.
certain stories that are fitting for you to share as it relates to your brand based on what it is that you're doing. And
Yeah.
so I don't think that people really get the concept of understanding that all stories are not meant to be brand related. And
Yeah.
how do you choose the story that you should be selecting as a part of your brand story for whoever it is that you're trying to connect with and attract to you, to qualify yourself? Because the purpose of the story is to qualify yourself before someone, to say, hey, I'm that go to because of X, Y, and Z, because I've been here and I've been able to manage this, and now I'm here. So come and get with me because I can help you too.
Yes. Yes. And I think what you just hit on is the important part. If we're asking the question, right, you pose the really incredibly powerful question at the top of this, which is, are you telling your story or are you just telling your business, right?
Mhm.
And I think you just hit on one of the key things that are going to help people make that distinction. And that is, what is the purpose of me telling this story, right? And you're saying, if the purpose of me telling my story is to position myself as a trustworthy leader, or as, a qualified practitioner, or as a whatever it is, right, then that's the thing that you have to check the story against to make sure that it's actually doing that, right? Like, am I talking about an experience that I lived through, or a lesson that I've learned, or whatever story I want to tell? What is the purpose of me telling that story? And then how is it connecting it back to the brand and the business, right?
Mhm.
Um, Meaning, that is it promoting a particular product? Is it giving people more sort of context for how I came to develop the business? Like, what is it doing in connection to the product or service that I'm offering, that I'm sharing, that I am, you know what I mean, inviting people to be a part of when when they are a part of my community, whether they're actual customers or maybe potential future customers, right? Like, whatever it
Mhm.
is, but what is the purpose of my story? What do I want to happen once I have told this story? I see y'all. Hey, Ebony. Hey, Shamik. Oh, I see them. Hey, Jessica. Um, so it's like, what is the purpose, right? Like, what am I trying to accomplish by telling this story? And then what part of my brand or business is this story connecting my audience back to? So I
Mhm.
think sometimes we get caught up trying to tell our stories because they're relatable, but they can't just be relatable. They also have to be relevant.
Absolutely.
Right? Relevant to what you're doing and what your message is to your audience. It can't just be whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. Or let me rephrase that. It can absolutely be that.
Mhm.
It can absolutely be that, but if it is that, then you don't get to be confused about why nobody is buying into what you're offering, because you haven't convinced them that they should.
Mhm.
You spend a lot of time telling a bunch of irrelevant stories that are not connected to anything that you're selling or offering. And so they might like it and they might engage with it. They might comment and you might go back and forth and you might do all of that. And then when you make your offering or you post your call to action, if nobody's biting, you haven't given them enough confidence to do that, to make that financial investment or time investment or energetic investment. Or maybe even they don't even might not even feel confident enough about sharing it with somebody else who could benefit, because your stories haven't done a good enough job of connecting them back to that, right? So this is like, I think that point that you made, what is the purpose of this story, and is it connecting, how is it connecting back to my brand or business, is going to be a key distincting factor for, like, is this my business or is this a story?
Mhm.
Right?
Absolutely. And as I'm listening to you talk, I'm sitting here thinking, like, we don't want brand schizophrenia. We do not want brand schizophrenia because it breeds brand confusion.
Right.
And so when there's brand confusion and your audience is confused about what it is that you do, then they just tune out and they will never buy. And
Right.
so you don't ever want to be caught off brand.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
don't ever want to be caught off brand. And when you do that, you're off brand. You might be a hairstylist or you might be a trichologist, but
Sure.
when you start showcasing other things about other areas of your life, or you are basically overexposing your personal self,
Sure.
because
Sure.
there's a thing of overexposure, and you
Mhm.
don't ever, because too much of a person outside of how much they're really supposed to know you, right
Sure.
or wrong, will turn a person off, and you'll wonder why they got ghost on you. And it's because it was too much overexposure, because you're off brand and they didn't come to you for that, and now
Mm.
you're giving them that, and that's not what they want. So they're gonna leave, because now they're seeing parts of you that they didn't come to you for.
Mm. Yep. Yeah, and again, that I think what you're saying, first of all, is spot on, right? Like if I'm thinking about how I engage. Now, this is strictly just talking about me. When I'm on social media, because I am very selective about what I allow in my consciousness, I follow people with intention. And if I come across someone's page and I have a particular perception of them and what they're about, right? You spoke earlier about values, right?
Yes.
Oftentimes, people's content is a reflection of what is important to them, whether or not they're conscious of that or not, right? But so when I find somebody's profile and I think that, okay, I like what they're posting so far based on what's here, and I follow them, and then they switch it up, oh, I didn't come here for this.
Mhm.
And it's not because it's not good. It's not because I feel a way about the person. It's not about any of that. It is about because I am curating my timeline because of the experience I want to have when I'm scrolling on social media. When you start posting something that is outside of the realm of what it is I came to you for, I'm going to unfollow. Now, let me say this. That doesn't mean you have to try to cater your content to fit everybody because you don't want them to unfollow because that's the mistake that we make. We're so broad because we're trying to capture such a big, wide audience. We don't want anybody to feel excluded and all that. That to the point that you're making, we don't have a clear message. We don't have a clear direction because we're trying to capture everybody.
Mhm.
You need to know who you're talking to and speak to them. Now, if somebody else want to listen in, welcome.
Mhm.
But I'm not all the way talking to you. So that means the language that I'm choosing is going to be a particular way,
Mhm.
right? That means the imagery, that means the stories that I tell. And even if I'm telling you something about my life that is outside of my business, it has to make sense for why I'm telling you about it. So maybe I'm doing this, I'm a beautypreneur and I'm a stylist or a trichologist and all of those things, fantastic. And sometimes I want to post about my family because part of what you're buying into is me, the person. And so if you know that I have family values and they're important to me, that might resonate with you and that might help us connect on a values level. And then from there, because we share values and family, that's going to create a level of trust between us that when I do make the pitch or the sale or the offering, you're going to feel connected because we share values when we talk about the importance of family. But I'm
Hmm.
not telling you my family business just to be telling you. I'm telling you because I want you to understand how important family is to me. And that's part of my value system. And my value system informs how I approach my business.
Mhm. That's good.
So when
And
you see me online with my kids and I doing whatever, and I tell you, sorry, I can't take appointments after 5 because I have to be with my children, then that's not going to be a shock to you because I have boundaries in my business that tell you I'm honoring my values. And my values say I need to be available for my family at this time. And so this is why I don't take appointments past that. And when you see me show up on social media, that's going to be consistent because you're going to see me talking about how I love my family. So that's going to make sense to you.
this
Right?
is good, girl. This is good. This is so good. And I really hope you guys are cluing in on what we're saying, because this is so needed, and this is also so much a part of ID. I want to share something. I feel and I feel inspired to share this. So when we look at ID, right? And ID was 3 days, and we only talked about the trichological experience and the skill set. One might say, well, Kai has pivoted. Why is Kai now this therapist and she's trying to fix people and we want trichology? Like, how is this even relevant? Come on, somebody, and y'all follow me. Okay? Because I know somebody is thinking this. They're trying to figure out, where is she going with this? Because now she was trichology. Now all of a sudden it's this whole transformative event where she's getting in people's psyche, and now she got a brand specialist, and she got a psychologist, and she has this and the third. But here's why. Because if you've ever thought, what you have to understand is that on my social media platform, I have multiple pages. And each page serves a different avatar. So each page has a different conversation. When y'all come over here to Kai Smith, some of you are watching on YouTube under Your Hair Loss Advocate. Some of you are watching on Facebook under AAHSD. Some of you are watching on my personal page, which is Kai Smith, right? All of those are brands. They're separate from themselves. But what they all have in common is Kai Smith.
Yes.
Right? What they all have in common is Kai Smith. I'm taking y'all somewhere. So y'all follow me as I go on this journey with you guys. What I have done is I have separated all the brands, because all the brands can't hold Kai Smith at the forefront of it. Because Kai Smith is going to give you the business. She's going to give you the raw. For AHSD, Kai can't be at the forefront of that brand, because it's more of a clinical brand. It's more professional. It is reaching a different kind of person. They will get some of Kai Smith because she is the founder, she is the lead educator, but Kai Smith is not the lead in that space. When you go to Your Hair Loss Advocate, that is serving the woman who was losing her hair. She's the warrior who was conquering hair loss. She could do this. She got the fight in her, right? Kai Smith is facilitating that process. You get a little bit of Kai Smith personally, because Kai Smith has personally lost her hair, and she know what it feels like to have to get in the trenches with this woman who is lost and who is confused about her health being at the forefront of why this is happening, you see. But then when we get over to Kai Smith, Kai Smith give you the business. That's the raw, that's the whole rawness of who Kai Smith is. You might get an F-bomb over there with Kai Smith, right? You might go get an F-bomb with Your Hair Loss Advocate or AHSD, but you might get an F-bomb over there with Kai Smith, because that's her. That's the person. She's not representing anything other than her truth in that space. Right? So I could talk to you about operating in your femininity and not operating in your masculinity, and not confusing power with masculinity, and how to be safe in your own femininity and not feeling afraid to be feminine, like you're too vulnerable and someone's going to take it. I don't talk about those things on AHSD or Your Hair Loss Advocate, but I'm going to give you the business about that over on Kai Smith Online, because that is who you get over there. And we have intimate conversations about developing your womanhood, being in power without, castrating the man. Because some of y'all don't know how to be in power without castrating the man. Some of y'all want to be the woman and the man, and that's why y'all ain't got no man. You get that over on Kai Smith.
Kai! Wait a minute.
I'm just saying, y'all want one, and then when y'all get one, y'all don't know how to submit to one, because in your masculinity and you don't know your femininity, because you making the six figures and you can take care of yourself, but can you screw yourself? See, those are the kind of conversations that we have over on Kai Smith, right? So this is the difference. And yeah, it gets raw. So I'm giving y'all a piece of what y'all get with Kai
Mhm.
Smith. I don't get that with AHSD. Y'all don't get that with your hair loss advocate, right? So
Yeah.
some of y'all are trying to do the Kai Smith across all boards of y'all brands. Why it ain't right, because you don't know how to separate the conversations.
Yes.
You can be all the people.
Yeah.
There are multiple facets of you, and you have to know where to share those pieces of you, where they're going to be received,
Yeah.
right? Like what Joy was just saying, where they're going to be received. And all of those conversations might not be received with your hair loss advocate or AHSD, but when they come over to Kai Smith, they yearn for that conversation. So if I'm
Right.
too prim and proper, they might leave because they like, who is this girl over here?
Right. Right. Right.
Right. So I'm saying all this to say that we have to stop co-mingling our
Yeah.
brands. And it's okay if you want to do hair today and you want to be an influencer on something else tomorrow, but keep your influencer page separate from your hair page. Your influencer page, if it ain't
Mhm.
got nothing to do with beauty, shouldn't be nowhere on your beauty page.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to be all the things and we're really confused and we're not centered, which is why we are doing so many different things. One thing I will tell you is that there's continuity in everything that I do as
Mhm.
Kai Smith. There's continuity, and every single last one of them have one purpose, even though I do them in three different facets. That's one purpose.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Can you help them understand?
Absolutely. No, it absolutely makes sense. The way that I conceptualize this, and I may have said this before. Oh, excuse my city soundtrack, y'all. they coming they coming
Not the city soundtrack,
you
though.
know when you live in the city, it's a soundtrack. Stuff is going on all the time, constantly. Um so um the way that I conceptualize it is I say that I am my own panel discussion. You know, when you go somewhere and they're having a panel and it might be 4 or 5 people and they all have their different backgrounds, different experiences, and therefore their different perspectives. So they might answer a question or reply or offer different insight about the same situation. I feel like I have a panel inside of me. And there are different versions of me that, depending on the situation, that's going to determine which version of me has the microphone at that moment and is responding to whatever the moment is presenting, right? Whatever the moment is presenting, there is a version of me inside that's going to take the mic and be like, I got this one. I got something to say. Right? I got this one. This one was for me. This question or this thing that's coming up in this situation, I got that. Right? And so to your point, there's a little bit of, because the other thing is who you are in any situation is who you are in every situation. And so this is why what you're saying so deeply resonates with me, because despite the fact that there are different versions of me on this panel, it's still one panel discussion about the same topic. So I'm not bouncing around crazy. It's not going to be hard to follow me if you were to find me on one platform to the next platform to the next one, and something I did a long time ago and something I'm going to do in the future. It's all going to be, you're going to understand and recognize, oh, I know that person. Now, I might not have seen this side,
Mhm.
but that's not unfamiliar, right? And so it is really an art form. And this is why I was so focused on, and we started with day one, we kicked it off with, who are you? And not just your name, your title, what you do. Who are you? The core of you. Deep down, underneath everything that everyone else wants, needs, and expects you to be, how do you define you? And what is that based on and rooted in?
Mhm.
Right. And that's why we started there, because until you have that, you won't necessarily understand how to present that to others in ways that are both meaningful for what it is you're here to do and impactful for what it is they need from you. If you don't know and you just out here fly by night saying whatever comes up whenever it comes up, that is a lack of clarity around how you get to share your gifts with people who need them. In order for us to operate in discernment, we have to have clarity.
Mhm.
And I can't have discernment about what is appropriate and which version of me should have the mic in a given situation. I can't have that until I'm clear about how many versions there actually are and what each of them wants to come and say before I can determine which one should have the mic in which space or situation. I can't do that if I'm not even clear about who the versions are that live inside of me and where they're coming from.
Mhm.
Because it would be a sad day if, you know, we pass the mic to the wrong person at the wrong time and they say the wrong thing.
That part.
We've seen it. We've all seen somebody have a hot mic, didn't know it was on, and how it has ruined their career.
Yeah.
Look at the sirens telling you, yes.
Right.
We've seen
Right.
it, right? We have seen it. So we know that it doesn't take a lot. We've seen a lot of people take years to build a brand and have it crumble. We're watching it happen right now with one of the biggest stars of the 1900s.
Yeah.
Okay, many of us grew up on this music, watched the videos, and loved the stars and good concerts. We're watching how quickly something that was built over decades is crumbling before our very eyes. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot.
Doesn't.
It
Doesn't.
doesn't take a lot. So when we are entrusted with a gift and we are called to serve others with that gift, it is our responsibility to honor that by doing what we can to protect and preserve it. And
Mhm.
that means being mindful of how we present it.
Mhm.
And that's what our brand is.
Mhm.
It is our presentation of what it is we offer to the world in a way that is going to let them know whether or not it's what they need.
Mhm.
And I can't do that if you're not clear in your messaging.
Yeah. This is so good. Um, I want to ask you, when we talk about authenticity, beautypreneurship, and the brand,
Mhm.
how, because we I think we use this word on everything now. And I think we use this word as a way to not call it rudeness, if you will, but it
Mm,
is rude when you use it incorrectly. And I
okay.
think we throw this term around, in my opinion. I want to hear yours.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think we throw around the word unapologetically.
Mm,
We use that word wrong to me.
okay.
Because if I'm unapologetic about something, that means I've made a conscious decision that there's no apology.
Right.
When we use that term as it relates to I'm living my life unapologetically,
Sure.
but then I see the way you live your life, or I hear you in your conversation, and I discern that you've really only used this word because you don't really feel good about what it is that you're doing. So then you verbalize, I'm unapologetic about what it is that I'm doing. That's not the way that term is used. You don't, that term really shouldn't have to be said because your actions show that you're unapologetic about how you live. I mean, I really honestly feel like I am the epitome of unapologetic
Mm, mhm.
in the way that I live because
Yeah.
I don't have no sorry for you. Sorry, not.
Here's the thing. There is a difference between being unapologetic and refusing to apologize. Refusing to apologize is I could and I probably should, but I won't. And that is going to be due to a lack of self awareness and how your behaviors or the way you show up is impacting a space or a relationship. That is ego, that is pride, that is unwillingness to admit fault, that's lack of humility, right? So when you're just like, no, I'm just not going to apologize, that's not the same as being unapologetic. You're just saying, I'm refusing to apologize.
Mhm,
Even
mhm,
if I acknowledge that I have done something wrong, said something wrong, or caused someone wrong, I'm just not saying sorry. The
mhm,
end.
Mhm.
That is different from I am existing in a space whereby I am so clear about and convicted in who I am, what I believe, and what I'm doing, that even if someone else disagrees or doesn't align, I'm not budging.
Mhm.
I'm standing, people, what the kids say is stand on business.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm standing on what I believe to be true about who I am and what I'm called to do. And in this moment, how that is manifesting. It
Mhm.
might make you uncomfortable because it doesn't validate a choice you would have made, because it means I no longer fit inside of a box that you tried to put me in, because what I'm doing challenges your perception of or conceptualization of the world around. And so when that happens, I am not willing to take on the responsibility for your discomfort about my choices.
Mhm.
And so, in that regard, I am unapologetic in the way that I am showing up and living my life.
Mhm.
Being unapologetic does not mean I don't apologize. What I'm
Yeah.
apologizing for in an instance where I see fit to do that according to my convictions is not about who I am, but it's about when I step outside of that and that has an impact that I didn't intend for it to have.
Hmm.
We just saw it. We just saw, I don't know if you're following the other hip hop news with what's happening with J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar.
No, I'm not aware.
So, a quick recap for those of you who may not be aware, there was a song that came out, Drake and J. Cole. They said a thing, and Kendrick Lamar came out and was like, actually, I'm the best. All of you can shut up. And that verse blew up the hip hop universe. Everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, J. Cole and Drake, you have to say something." And for weeks, no one said anything. And then J. Cole dropped his album. He said a thing. It was not a great thing, but he said a thing. It was a response. Hip hop did what hip hop does. Just a few days ago, J. Cole at one of, it looked like a show that he did. He ultimately, what he said was, and this is the thing, and this is why I'm bringing this up in this morning. So this is the moment. Stay tuned, lean in. Okay, this is the point of this. In his addressing of that, when he made the diss track back to Kendrick Lamar saying that his albums were whatever subpar, what he came back and said in his statement was, one, I responded because this is hip hop and everybody was asking for blood, right? Somebody dissed me, and in hip hop you don't just diss somebody and get away with it. There's supposed to be a beef. So I responded because everyone else wanted me to, they felt like I should. So the first thing he said was the fans and my rap peers said that I should respond because I got this. So that was the first thing. Second thing was, I don't even believe the stuff that I said. He's actually a really dope rapper.
Hmm.
So when he apologized, which if you want to call it that, what he apologized for was, I am a creative who put out a product that didn't even align with one, my values, and two, my beliefs. So I'm apologizing because I need to get right with myself. I acted out of alignment with who I am, what I believe, and what my values are as a creative and as an artist.
Wow.
That's what he said. Not I apologize to Kendrick, not I apologize to the fans for whatever. He said, I need to reconcile and I could not sleep. And my peace has been disturbed since I released that song because I put it out based on pressure around from people around me. And what I said because of that pressure isn't even, I can't even stand on that. That's not even true for me. So being and in that, this is the great dichotomy, because he was both in that unapologetic about who he is, because
Hmm.
the fans said, this is what you got to do. This is what hip hop. He said, as a man and as an artist, that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you expect me to do something else, because that's hip hop tradition, who I am says I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was unapologetic about who he is because he understood the backlash that was going to come from that. As a matter of fact, he said, and Kendrick, if you heard the song and you got something to say and you want to keep this rap beef going, I'm going to stick my chin out and take it like a man, because I did that. I decided to participate in this fight. So if you sock me back, I got to take that.
Right.
But
Now
what
that
he doing.
Emotional intelligence,
That's what
okay?
I'm saying. And so in that moment, he was unapologetic about himself. This is who I am as an artist and as a man. I don't choose to beef with my brother, who I actually respect as a creative and as an artist and as a rapper. That is not who I am. So I'm unapologetic about that. And inside of that, because I stepped out of who I am, I'm apologizing for that, for operating outside of who I am as a person. Because we all know, if you follow rap, J. Cole, to be a conscious person who's doing his work, to show up as a father, a husband, an artist, as an advocate, just as a black man, right? Recognizing that people are looking to him. And what he said was, in doing what I did when I made this song, I stepped out of alignment. And because I'm unapologetic about who I am as a person who's committed to those values, I will apologize for the impact of what it meant for me to step outside of that. Those two things, being unapologetic and being unwilling to apologize, are not the same.
Right. And that's the part where I think people misuse the unapologetic piece. And it
Mhm.
makes me cringe when
Mhm.
I hear it used incorrectly because we want to stand in something that
Mhm.
don't even have legs, first of all.
That's good. I'm fighting for my limits because here's something showing me an opportunity to grow or evolve or expand, because what I'm doing right now is not in alignment with who I say I am or what I say I want. And when I am being shown an opportunity to grow beyond that, because I'm being stubborn, because I'm in my ego, and because I'm attached to my pride, I'm going to refuse to apologize. I'm going to shun the opportunity for humility. And in this moment, what all I'm ever doing is really cutting my own nose off to spite my face.
Right. Right. And so all that's this was a real good example because he took ownership.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that's what a lot of us are failing to do. We don't like to take ownership of how we show up. But the reason why we can't take ownership is because we lack self awareness. We don't understand what we're reflecting, we don't understand
Mhm.
what we're projecting. We're just here and we're just moving along, but we've not connected to ourselves. And for me, as a person, if I can't connect to it, if it don't feel good, I don't want it.
At all. I don't want no
And
parts of
not
it.
feel good like I'm going off of my emotions. I'm talking about what I feel in my spirit. I'm talking
Mhm.
about what I'm connected to. I'm talking about it has to connect to those 5 core values that I have. And
Mhm.
if I can't check the box on all 5, it's a no.
Mm. That's good.
It's a no.
That's good. And so what I hear you saying, Kai, and this is an important step for those of you who are out there, I hope you're taking notes, because what I hear you saying, Kai, is once I did the sort of abstract work of what are my core values and what matters to me and kind of figuring out and filtering through that, what you then did is create systems around those values so that you can operationalize them and use them as guiding pillars for your life. So they don't just
Absolutely.
exist as ideas in your mind, they are concrete pillars that you can now use to check and balance what it is you choose to say yes to. That's helping you manage your workload, that's helping you manage your relationships, that's helping you manage everything that you do in your life when you can trace it back to, is it connected to what I said I want and who I say I am?
And
If
who
it's not, it can't because here's the thing, what it allows you to do, if it's not, then I have to say either it's no or it's okay, well, let me check into these core values. Have they changed? Have I evolved and grown to a place where something else is a priority for me in this season of my life? Because
right.
before you were a mom, obviously that wasn't a part of your core values.
Yep.
But
Yep.
when you became one, I bet you something got bumped and pushed and moved.
Absolutely.
If we only got 5 spots and I'm evolving and changing and something else has got to come in, that means something got to go.
Right.
Right? If that's what we're doing, or are we saying, no, now we got 6 spots? But the point is, you are actively and consciously engaged in the process of determining and deciding and creating who you are and how you show up.
Absolutely.
Even if you're changing that and editing that along the way, which we all are, by the way,
Hmm.
but you're doing so with active and conscious intention. You are participating. You are co-creating this. It's not happening to you, it's happening through you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. But it took a long time for me to understand that because no one, I'm going to say this and then I want to go to a quick break really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no one has really taught us how to be with self. No
Mm-hmm.
one's really taught us what that feels like. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we're taught that if we're not busy,
Mm-hmm.
that that we're not productive, that things are not happening, that you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't just be sitting still and not doing anything because that breeds complacency and this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
Busy is not, this should not be confused with fruitful, because just because you're busy does not mean you're fruitful. My question for me in this season, the past season, and the other seasons to come is, did God assign me to this, or am I assigning myself to this for a
Mm-hmm.
need to fulfill whatever it is in me that I need to fill a void, whatever that void is, whether
Mm-hmm.
I'm insecure in this area. I mean, because we want to walk around, you guys see Kai, building this platform, connecting, transforming lives, utilizing my purpose, but this is an anointing that you see on me. I'm a real human being underneath that anointing, right? I'm a real human being that have real human issues like everyone else, that's still, slaying giants in my own living room at the same time that I come and hang out in your living room to help you figure out how to slay your own, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
can help you slay yours because I got clarity on how I need to show up for me, right? And I got experience, with showing up for me, which allows me to extend myself to help you show up for you for a period of time until you know how to do it for yourself. But there are still areas of my life, in all transparency, where there are insecurities and inadequacies that will show up from time to time, depending on the triggers. And I have to be in tune with myself to ask myself, are you saying yes to this, or do you want to say yes to this because you feel a kind of way about X, Y, and Z, and you need this to make you feel in the moment, to make you feel good? So are you going to serve yourself to feel good, or are you going to serve God to be obedient? Where are you with this? Am I
Mm-hmm.
self-serving, or am I operating in obedience? And those are questions that I have to ask myself as I do the check down when I want to speak on these platforms, or I'm going to say no because I don't want to speak on this platform, but I
Mm-hmm.
do want to expand my brand and I do want people to know about who
Mm-hmm.
I am. But I need to be in tune with, am I called to be on that brand, or do I just want more people to know who Kai Smith is? Or did God ask you to go and use your voice over there?
Mm. So now what you're creating in this conversation, that again, I want to outline this because I don't want the people to miss it. What you're doing is you've now taken your core values, you've translated that into what that means for the habits and systems you need to create in order for you to live out those core values. And now what I hear you saying is, inside of those core values, there's a hierarchy. Some of these sit higher on the ranks, and you can't even get to the next one. You got to get through the big boss, right? So you start with the big boss. First of all, is it God?
Right.
Because if it's not God, it don't matter what else is going on. Because it's going to save me time if I start there, because that's the most important thing to me. When I think about my core values, the one at the very top is my faith and my relationship with God. So I'm gonna start there, because if it don't hit that one, it don't matter if it hits the other ones, right? Because at that point, beyond that, it just becomes strategy, and it becomes resources, and then it becomes putting in the practices so that I can be an open vessel, so that God, if when I do determine that God sent me somewhere, I can be a ready and available vessel for God to speak to and through me when I get to that place. But if
Absolutely.
it's not God, it don't matter about none of the other stuff you're talking about. But my brand, but my audience, but my name, none of that matters. So what I hear you saying now is, not only am I clear about my values, I'm clear about where they land on my list of priorities and the level of importance in my life as guiding factors for what I say and do.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So now it's not this. I'm telling y'all, when you get your values, it's not just to have the list, just to walk around waving your list of values. These are my values. How are you living in alignment with them? How is that translating into action? And that requires you to have some clarity about what are the primary, the ones that go at the top of the list that are just this. You can't get past. You can't go past go without this one.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's a deal breaker.
That's it.
Complete deal breaker. This is really good conversation. I hope you guys are really I hope it's resonating with you. I hope you're grabbing some nuggets. It may not hit you now. It may come and hit you in the back of the head like that, like a little later on tonight or tomorrow. You'd be like, woo, okay, God, I heard you. Or you use Dr. Joy or you use Kai to, really help me make sense of that. But now on what we've been saying for a minute. We're getting ready to take a commercial break and we're going to come right back. We're not going to hold you for too much longer because it's 3 minutes after the hour and we just ain't going to be that long tonight. So stay tuned for this commercial.
Yes. What you're not understanding is there are things that I might be participating in that's creating this disease. Because I'm not confronting my dis-ease. Right? So it's important to connect all of these things. This is not that over there and that over there. It's all one system. You're one person. Everywhere you go, there you are, all of you. Is that clear? Okay.
That's good. Which is everything that she's saying, we touch on that very heavily in the full certification course. Yes.
So even though we take medicine to suppress the issue, the body is still dealing with it.
The thing is, we're not suppressing the issue. We're suppressing the symptoms of the
It's
issue.
the effect,
Exactly.
not the
The
cause.
symptoms.
Right.
The symptoms are what are inconvenient, right? So we're doing the work to try to stop the inconvenience that is getting in the way of me living my life. I just don't want to deal with that, right? So I just don't want people I can be bald-headed. I just don't want people to know I'm bald-headed, right? So cover it up. I don't care if it's actually still there. I just don't want people to see it. So I just don't want to act like it's there. So give me the medicine so I don't act like I'm always angry, even if I actually am.
That was powerful, right? Like it take you all the way back to those 5 days. They were just so
Wow.
like you just wowing yourself, right? You
because first of all, we was everywhere. The thing here's what I would say if I had to sum this up. What we did, and write this in pencil. Don't write it in pen because I'm still computing, right? It's still marinating. But write this in pencil because so far, here's what I was thinking about as I was listening to that clip. What we did, Kai, what you did was you made that phenomenal workbook. How many pages was it?
256.
256 pages. And we went through every single one. Okay. And so, but when you created that, and it's so thorough, right? And it really breaks down the systems inside of our individual bodies and how they function or dysfunction, right? According to all kinds of things that we do to ourselves, choices that we make, situations that we find ourselves in or that we allow and attract, all of that. And then what we also did was look at our individual selves inside of larger systems, societal systems, and how sometimes those systems inflict things on us that create symptoms, right? And so what we did was we were able to see that connection between the individual systems of our individual selves and how our individual selves fit into the collective society and how those processes are mirroring one another. How when you show up in the world in a particular stressed out way because of a lack of boundaries or because of people pleasing or because of all kinds of ways in which we behave in the world, right? Lack of clarity. So we just showing up every which way and taking whoever will say yes, right? because I don't have the checks and balances to say, is this a God thing or do I, right? So if I don't have all that and I'm just out here, yes and yes, yep, showing up, when I'm stressed out because of how I'm functioning in the larger systems of the world in which I live, there are systems inside of our internal selves that are manifesting that stress through things like hair loss. So what we were able to do was connect how the body's systems and the way that they show up in our by ourselves is a mirror reflection of our social systems and how we, as the smaller entities of that social system, contribute to and create and perpetuate the symptoms that we see in our society. So that, if I'm thinking about what we were able to do, that's an incredibly powerful thing to do. And to be moving in the world with that level of awareness, if you don't snap out of it instantly and start making new choices, I'm going to go as far as to say you like that madness. And we talked about that. We talked about how we participate in things that we say we don't want. And I said it's because you get something from it that you like. And until you are able to identify the thing that you are getting from this, even though you say you don't want it, is serving you in some kind of way. And until you are honest with yourself and able to identify why the thing that you say is toxic, you keep choosing it anyway, you're going to stay right in that toxic mess.
And that's the piece for me where my boundaries protect me from you and you from me. That's where my clarity separates the wheat from the tare. That's where that awareness is. And that's where people will say, if you're not careful, people will say, oh, well, she disloyal. Oh, well, I did X, Y, and Z and this, that, and the third, and then she did. No, here's my mantra. If being loyal to you means being disloyal to me, then call me disloyal every day.
Listen.
All day. Because we throw loyalty around too. I'm not getting ready to be loyal to your toxicity because you live in dysfunction. Now, see, maybe there was a time when me and you were both in dysfunction and we bonded over some trauma. And now that I'm getting clear, I don't bond over the same trauma because I don't live there anymore. And as a result of my move, now I'm disloyal and I don't know how to act and I don't remember where I came from and this, that, and the third.
Listen to me when I tell you.
Because I'm pushing you high every time. But that's how people will try to put you in a box. And you got to tell them, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. And you cannot be afraid to say bye-bye. And it might be bye-bye for a temporary time, or it might be bye-bye forever. But in this season of my life, I cannot heal in the same environment that made me sick. So I have to remove myself from this environment in order to gain clarity for me, in order to get grounding for me. And then maybe later we can reconnect if there is, if I even desire to even still connect with you, because I might want something different now that I'm not living in this dysfunction and I'm not trauma bonded.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are nailing it. And what I say to people all the time is, I am not going to set myself on fire just to keep you warm. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. And that is the very definition. If we want to bring this conversation back to a point that we had earlier, that is the very definition of being unapologetic. Right? It is, I am so clear about who I am, what I am called to do, and the necessary steps that I need to take in order to fulfill that, that if it makes you uncomfortable, that I'm making choices that align me with that and that are a reflection of that, I'm going to have to ask you to take that up with whoever you pray to.
Yeah. Whoever you pray to.
Whoever you pray to, or if you pray at all. But that's really none of my business. I'm clear on what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
One of the mantras that came out of our experience was, I don't have the responsibility and I don't have the authority.
Yes.
It's not my responsibility and I don't have the authority. So for those of y'all who were in the room, y'all know that was the thing. That was our anchor. It kept coming back to that.
Let me tell you what I really like, though, that I thought you was getting ready to say.
Oh.
I like that one too, but this one, it stuck with me, and I was like, yeah. You know, when you sit back and you really think about it, it was just like, yeah. It was, you can't tell me no
Oh,
because you can't tell me yes.
yes. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You can't say no to me because you're not giving me the yes. You're not
Yeah.
giving me permission. So how could you take away the permission if you're not even the giver of the permission? Like,
Exactly.
hello, somebody. Like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
right there was everything for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I understood it already, but when you hear
Sure.
it put differently than how you say it, you'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. That was catchy. That's like a t-shirt.
We said we had a lot of t-shirts come out of that time. We had a lot of t-shirts coming out of them 5 days because we had a bunch of one-liners that was just we was just 1-2 punching them every other day. It was like another. Oh my God! Yeah.
Right. But like y'all, listen. This is what y'all get from Dr. Joy. Like Dania saying, Dr. Joy dropped so many gems. Like this woman, like this is truly her calling. Before she became doctor, she was my homegirl before she became doctor, but she was already that. She embodies wisdom. Like she has so much clarity. She just went to school just for the formality of it, right? Like she don't need that. She was born with this. Like this did not just start when she became Dr. Joy. Like I really need y'all to understand, like doctor does not qualify her just for societal purposes.
Sure.
It's what it is. It's before her name, but this is this woman's gifting. Like we could sit and talk for hours, Joy and I, and then everybody in the room can attest to that because they did not want to not be under the sound of her voice. Like it was like E.F. Hutton in the room when Joy was talking because it was so good. It was so good. It was so meaningful, and it was so powerful because she was touching the spirit. And the thing is, the spirit already knows what it needs and what it wants. It's the soul that separates you from what the spirit wants to do. So it's really her speaking and filling those voids in the soul so that it can catch up to the spirit and what the spirit already wants to do. And that's where that brokenness is in the soul, you know? And so mending so many broken pieces, so many aha moments, so many tears shed because they were tears of clarity and finally getting to the space of that's it. That I didn't know that was it. Like so, all of these aha moments in the space were taken away. People left there, and they were able to move in their day-to-day lives as an authority of their life and not living in the shadows of their life because they don't really understand who they are, why they feel this way, being told that they're wrong for feeling this way, just being confused about everything about who they are. And we are one being. We take us everywhere we go. So we cannot outrun self. It's going to show up, right? And so I want to go to one last commercial before we get ready to say bye to you guys tonight. But before we go to that, I'll save it for when we come back from the commercial. Let's go to the commercial, and then I want you to say it before we get ready to exit.
Okay. Why am I committed to something you don't even have an interest in? I'm committed. You're not even interested. I'm committed to some vision of you that I have that you're not even interested in. And I'm going to expend my resources, time, energy, effort, money, joy, peace, expending my resources, committed to making you something that you're not even interested in being. And the only way we're going to free ourselves from that, no matter who the person is, even if they were the one for a season, because maybe we were supposed to start this thing together, but we ain't going to end it together. Am I committed to the vision that God gave me? Or am I committed to making you who I want you to be? Or who I need you to be because of something in me that feels empty unless I can prove that who I am is enough to change you.
Like every time I've heard that, I was there in the flesh when it first went down. But every time I listen to that video, we have all been guilty of that
100%.
multiple times. And I recollect the times that has been me, right? And wow, I want you, Joy, can you, before we exit, can you share with the audience on the live and on the replay,
Sure.
as a beautypreneur, why would ID be something that they need to experience as a cosmetologist or as a trichologist? How does what you offer in this space become relevant for what they need to show up for themselves as a trichologist or a cosmetologist or a barber? And how is what Marche is going to bring? How does what I bring, what Jessica brings, what Dania brings? How is all of this relevant to the one person that they are?
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic question. I think as a beautypreneur, you're gonna have goals. You have goals for your business. They could be financial goals, they could be, impact goals, how many people you want to serve, how many salons or, clinics you want to open, whatever it is, you have goals. And goals are not enough. You need systems in place to support your process to moving towards those goals. And what ID is, it is a marketplace. It's like a swap meet for the systems that you're going to need, the essential systems that when you put them in place, will then give you the framework for, even as you evolve and grow and pivot and expand and all those things, you will have a framework to say, okay, this email marketing thing isn't working. Let me replace it. And I don't have to move my whole system because I've got things in place and I'm clear about how this is helping me with the legal aspect, how this is helping me with the information aspect, how this is helping me with the emotional and spiritual aspect of being a business owner, how this is helping me. So there's all these elements. There are, again, these sort of panels inside. If your business is a panel, there's various systems or segments or domains of your business that need to be operating in a functional system, and those systems need to be related, connected, and communicating with one another. And this is a one-stop shop where you come in and you get to connect with people who are professionals and experts and specialists in designing these systems, and they will sit with you in an intimate environment and help you tailor your system for your vision based on where you are in this moment or in the moment that you're seated in that room and they meet you there. And there are a few places in the world where you're going to get that level of value, not just as an exchange because you paid for it, but because it's an investment, because the people who are in that room are operating not just in their skills, but in their gifts. And gifts are about sharing, right? And so when I am coming into the space, I'm coming not because of who you are, I'm coming because of who I am. Because as Kai said, when she calls me and asks me to come, I'm not just coming because that's my friend. To be clear, and she knows it.
And
I'm not coming because that's my friend. I'm coming because I'm clear about what God is doing in me, and I see it as an opportunity to expand on that. And I know that she has built a platform on which I can confidently stand, and I know that my gifts will be valued, honored, and appreciated. So I say yes because I'm clear about what God called me to do, and I recognize this as a space for an opportunity for me to do it. which means when I show up and I pour out the way that I do, the people who are receiving that are not just giving a well-crafted presentation that I put together pretty slides and said, look at me. They're getting a version of me that said, okay, God, I'm up next. Stand in me, speak through me. And you're getting a tailor-made lesson from me or through me from God about you.
Yes.
And everybody on that panel that's going to present to you is coming with that energy about their respective field, and you're getting it in one place, and we all care. We're not in it for what we can get. We're in it for what we can give. We all care. And there's not a lot of places where you're going to go and spend your money and people care beyond that transaction. Once the check is clear, a lot of people get ghosts. Okay, that's not what you're getting here. That's why I'm here 2 months later talking about it. That's why I got these ladies there in my text community and we still communicate every week. This is real. This is a real investment. And that is why I would say come, because if it is that you have a vision and it is, if it's worth anything, it's going to be more than you can do on yourself by yourself and on your own. And this is a space where you're going to be invested in by people whose gifts are in alignment with what you need to step into your vision in a tailor-made, intimate space delivered by people who care.
That's good. I mean, that's a note to close out on, y'all. I mean, I think. And I want to just say thank you for being in alignment with what God has for you, because that's why we complement one another. So I just want to say thank you for being in alignment to know when you're to say yes and when you're to say no. I honor you. I love you. I thank you for being available for this ID space, because we need you in this space. We need you to get our minds right. We need someone that can relate to us, that can help us be balanced and with ourselves, nothing outside of ourselves, just be ourselves. So guys, we're getting ready to get out of here.
Yes.
Enrollment is going to close May 7th. It's still on a 2-pay right now. So you may want to hop in there so you can purchase your ticket, grab your seat. If God is saying not your time, then honor what God is telling you if it's not your time. But if you've been on the fence and every time you come in this live space or this replay space, you're like, I know I need to be in there. I know I need to be in there. And fears was keeping you back. You're not going to grow until you finally say yes to yourself. So if ID is calling you and you know you need it, click the link bit.ly/ID BTC5. Let's display it on the screen for the people to hop into, reserve their seat, because we only have 15 slots and over half of those slots are gone. Okay. Because I'm not looking for the masses. I'm looking to be able to transform the lives of 1, 2, 5, whoever shows up. I'm still going to be present, because it doesn't matter the number. It matters the transformation and how that person's life is going to be changed as a result of what God has for us to do in that space. So we don't get geeked up over numbers. We get geeked up over service. And so, at the end of the day, we want to see you in the room. We want to connect with you if you're supposed to be there, because we care about where you are as far as your destiny is concerned, and if you're going to get there in the time that you're supposed to get there, right? So listen, June 1 through 5, Houston, Texas live. Meet us there. Meet us there. This is going to conclude this live. Joy, thank you for your time this evening, for pouring into my community. Again, I appreciate you and I love you. I will see you in June.
Yes.
She is going to have some amazing things for us, speaking about the somatic nervous system, the traumas connected there, why you're wrestling with yourself and can't come to center to be one with you. We're going to talk about all the things. So you want to be there, because it will not be televised. All right. So you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Be good to yourself.
Yes.
And I will see you later. I love you guys. Have a good night.
I love y'all. Love you, Kai.
Love you back. The person that you came as memorialize that person right now. Because you're about to be something different, something greater. You came to get something, and what you think you came to get, that ain't what you came to get. God is meeting you here because it's something that you need for your next. And we're about to bridge a gap. Come here. This is your time to get your cup filled. Take your superwoman capes off. We've created a safe environment for you. Well, Trichology, we rip off all the Band-Aids because we want to get to the core and we want to rebuild. So I want you to give yourself permission to break and to rebuild yourselves so that you can be dispatched to